In this video, you will discover the top most mysterious lost worlds on Earth. These are some of the most fascinating places on Earth you probably have never heard of, but they'll leave you stunned beyond words. So get ready as I take you around the world to these worlds that have been lost, and we are only just beginning to learn about them. We will move from the most popular ones to the most mysterious worlds as we go down the iceberg levels. Ready to be amazed? Then stick around and watch till the end. You never know what you'll find down this iceberg. First on our iceberg is Sondung Cave. This cave is regarded as one of the wonders of Earth we are just discovering and appreciating. Welcome to Sondung Cave, the largest natural cave in the world. Located in the heart of Phong Nha Ke Bang National Park in central Vietnam, this cave is a wonder of nature that has captivated explorers, scientists, and adventurers alike. It's not just about size. There is a lot more that makes this cave special, as you'll soon find out. The name Son Dung means mountain river cave in Vietnamese, and it is aptly named as it has a fast-flowing underground river that runs through its massive chambers. The cave was first discovered in 1990 by a local man named Ho Khan, who stumbled upon it while looking for agarwood, which is a valuable timber. He was discouraged by the sound of the roaring water and the strong wind and forgot the exact location of the entrance. Is it not interesting that the world's largest cave could be lost so easily? This shows how difficult the terrain around this cave is. It was not until 2008 that he rediscovered the cave and led a team of British cave explorers to explore it. In 2009, they surveyed the cave and confirmed that it was the largest in the world by volume, with a cross-section twice that of the next largest cave, Deer Cave in Malaysia. Okay, let's talk numbers. The cave is more than 5 miles or 9 kilometers long, over 700 feet high and 500 feet wide. It has several huge chambers, some of which are so large that they have their own climate, vegetation, and wildlife. The cave also has spectacular formations of stalactites, stalagmites, columns, and cave pearls, some of which are among the largest and oldest in the world. One of the most remarkable features of Sondung Cave is the presence of 2 giant dolines or sinkholes where the ceiling of the cave has collapsed, allowing sunlight and rain to enter and create a unique ecosystem. These dolines are home to a variety of plants and animals, including monkeys, birds, bats, and insects. They also create stunning scenes of mist, clouds, and rainbows inside the cave. But it gets even more fascinating because this cave has an underwater world too. In 2019, a team of British divers made a groundbreaking discovery when they found an underwater tunnel connecting Sondung Cave to another large cave called Hang Thung. This discovery added an extra 1.6 million cubic meters of volume to Sondung Cave, making it even bigger than before. The divers also encountered new species of fish and shrimp that have adapted to the dark and cold environment of the cave. Sondung Cave is not only a scientific marvel, but also a dream destination for adventurous travelers. Since 2013, the cave has been open to the public, but only with a limited number of permits and a guided tour by a licensed operator. The tour involves a challenging trek through the jungle, a descent into the cave, a hike and a kayak along the river, and a camp inside the cave. The tour lasts for 4 days and 3 nights and costs around $3,000 per person. Would you pay that much to explore this lost world? The next world is guaranteed to take your breath away. I'm talking about Melville Range. Welcome to the Melville Range, a hidden gem on the eastern coast of Cape York Peninsula in Australia. This is a place of mystery and wonder where ancient rocks, rare plants, and unique animals create a world unlike any other. But the most fascinating part of this lost world is the small mountain range that rises from the Coral Sea about 200 miles or 475 kilometers north of Cairns. It is an area that covers over 170,000 hectares of land and sea and is home to diverse ecosystems and cultural heritage. The range is composed of granite outcrops that formed 250 million years ago when molten rock cooled and solidified underground. Over time, erosion and weathering exposed the granite to the surface, creating the spectacular boulders that we see today. The boulders provide shelter and moisture for a rich variety of plants and animals, many of which are only found around the Melville Range. Some of these species have been isolated in this area for millions of years, evolving to adapt to the harsh and unpredictable environment. Take a look at the foxtail palm, for example. This is a striking plant that grows up to 10 meters tall, with a crown of feathery leaves that resemble a fox's tail. Then there's the Cape Melville leaf-tailed gecko, which is a master of camouflage, with a flattened body and a tail that mimics a dead leaf. The Cape Melville shade skink is a slender lizard that lives in the crevices of the boulders, feeding on insects and spiders. Not to be outdone is the blotched boulder frog, which is a remarkable amphibian that can survive without water for months by hiding in moist rock cracks and shedding its skin. The Cape Melville tree frog is another amazing animal you will only find here. It is a colorful and vocal frog that inhabits the canopy of the rainforest, calling at night to attract mates. These are just a few of the amazing creatures that inhabit the Melville Range, a place that has been described as a lost world by scientists and explorers. The range was first named by Lieutenant Charles Jeffreys in 1815, who called it Cape Melville after the British naval hero Lord Melville. However, the range remained largely unexplored and unknown to the outside world until 2013, when a team of scientists and filmmakers ventured into the misty rainforest atop the range and discovered several new species. The 2013 expedition was a rare opportunity to document and study the biodiversity and ecology of the Melville Range and to learn more about its history and culture. The range is a part of the traditional lands of the Aba Yalgai, Muli, Bagarmugu, Wuri, Manyamar, Gambilmugu, and Yuriki Aboriginal peoples who have lived in this area for thousands of years. They have a deep connection and respect for this land and ask that visitors do the same. It is important to remember that while the Melville Range is a place of beauty and wonder, it is also a place of challenges and threats. The range is vulnerable to climate change, invasive species, fire, and human disturbance. It is important to protect and conserve this unique and fragile ecosystem and to support the efforts of the Aboriginal traditional owners and the Queensland government to manage it sustainably. Next is Angkor, Cambodia. This is the ancient capital of the Khmer Empire and one of the most magnificent and mysterious archaeological sites in the world. This lost world is located in northwestern Cambodia, near the modern town of Siem Reap. It covers an area of about 400 square kilometers, where hundreds of temples and monuments are scattered amid forest and farmland. Just take a look at how impressive these magnificent structures are. We can only imagine how beautiful they were when this lost world was at its peak. The most famous and impressive of these temples is Angkor Wat, a massive stone structure built in the 12th century by King Suryavarman II. It is the world's largest religious monument dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. Its 5 towers symbolize the peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. Angkor Wat is also a masterpiece of art and architecture, with intricate bas-reliefs depicting scenes from Hindu mythology, history, and everyday life. The temple is surrounded by a moat and a wall that represents the cosmic ocean and the mountains. Guess what? Angkor Wat is not even the most impressive structure here. That title goes to another remarkable temple complex called Angkor Thom. This is the last and largest capital of the Khmer Empire. It was built by King Jayavarman VII in the late 12th century after he defeated the invading Chams. Angkor Thom means great city in Khmer, and it was indeed a grand and splendid metropolis with a population of about 1 million people. Just imagine how great this city was. It must have been one of the greatest in the world at the time. let's look at other structures that make this lost world so fascinating. The city had 5 monumental gates, each adorned with a giant face of the king or a bodhisattva. The gates were connected by causeways lined with statues of gods and demons. Inside the city, the most prominent feature was the Bayon Temple, with its 54 towers, each bearing 4 smiling faces looking in the cardinal directions. Near the Bayon, there were 2 terraces that served as platforms for royal ceremonies and public events. The Terrace of the Elephants was decorated with carvings of elephants and garudas, while the Terrace of the Leper King had a statue of a mysterious figure, possibly representing Yama, the god of death. Angkor was not only a city of temples, but also a city of water. The Khmer kings built an elaborate network of canals, reservoirs, and barais, or artificial lakes, to irrigate the land and control the monsoon floods. The largest and most important of these waterworks was the West Barai, which measured 8 by 2 kilometers and provided water for the rice fields and the city. The Khmer civilization was based on the abundance and management of water, which was also a source of religious and cosmological significance. Today, Angkor is a living heritage where the past and the present coexist. The temples are still used for worship and ceremonies by the local people who follow Theravada Buddhism, the dominant religion in Cambodia since the 13th century. The temples are also a major attraction for tourists from all over the world who come to admire and explore the ancient wonders. The Cambodian government and various international organizations are working together to preserve and restore the monuments, which are threatened by natural and human factors such as weathering, looting, and landmines. The next entry is pretty popular, but fascinating. Easter Island, Chile. Easter Island is an island and special territory of Chile in the southern Pacific Ocean at the southernmost point of the Polynesian Triangle in Oceania. It's famous for its nearly 1,000 extant monumental statues called moai, which were created by the early Rapa Nui people. In 1995, UNESCO named Easter Island a World Heritage Site, with much of the island protected within Rapa Nui National Park. The moai are giant stone statues that weigh up to 82 tons and stand up to 33 feet tall. That is about the size of a blue whale. They were carved from volcanic rock by skilled craftsmen using copper chisels and wooden mallets. The moai were placed on ceremonial platforms called ahu, which were often arranged in groups facing inland or seaward. The purpose and meaning of these statues are still a mystery debated by scholars and archaeologists. Easter Island has a rich and complex history that spans over 2,000 years. The first human inhabitants arrived on the island around 1200 CE from Polynesia, probably from Mangariva or Hivaoa Islands. They developed a sophisticated culture that included agriculture, fishing, weaving, pottery, tattooing, carving, astronomy, navigation, and warfare. They also had a complex social organization based on clans and chiefs. The Rapa Nui people created many artifacts that reflect their culture and beliefs. One of these artifacts is the pottery they made from clay mixed with seawater or bird droppings. You heard that right, bird droppings! The pottery was used for cooking, storing food and water, serving food at ceremonies, and as offerings to the gods. The pottery also shows evidence of trade with other islands in Polynesia. Another aspect of Rapa Nui culture is their art. They produced beautiful textiles from cotton or wool using intricate weaving techniques. The textiles were used for clothing, blankets, mats, bags, hats, belts, and other items. The textiles also show symbols and motifs that represent animals. But this is not all that makes this lost world amazing. One of the most remarkable achievements of Rapa Nui culture is their astronomy. They observed the movements of celestial bodies. They used these observations to create calendars based on lunar cycles or solar cycles. They also used these observations to plan their voyages across the Pacific Ocean using navigational techniques such as observing stars at night or using natural landmarks such as islands or reefs during the day. However, not everything was peaceful on Easter Island. The Rapa Nui people faced many challenges and threats to their survival. One of these threats was deforestation caused by overgrazing by pigs or hunting for wood for firewood or building materials. Deforestation led to soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, reduced water supply, increased vulnerability to droughts, floods, landslides, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. Another threat was disease brought by European explorers who arrived on Easter Island in 1722 CE. Disease decimated the native population, reducing it from about 10,000 to fewer than 200 people by 1727 CE. That is an insane amount of people that died in just 5 years. European explorers who first visited Easter Island were Dutch sailors who named it Easter Island because they arrived there on Easter Friday. The lost worlds covered so far are the popular ones, so now let us move to Level 2, where you will discover lesser-known worlds. The Great Bath and Mohenjo-Daro. Mohenjo-Daro is located in present-day Sindh province in Pakistan on the right bank of the Indus River. It was one of the main centers of the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, that flourished from 2500 to 1900 BCE. The name Mohenjo-Daro means Mound of the Dead Men in Sindhi language. Archaeologists first discovered Mohenjo-Daro in 1911, but they did not pay much attention to it until 1922 when they found a buried stupa, a mound-like structure where Buddhists typically meditate. Since then, several excavations have taken place at Mohenjo-Daro and revealed its amazing urban planning and sanitation system. Mohenjo-Daro covered an area of about 250 acres on a series of mounds. The city had a grid-like street layout with wide walkways and wells. Every house had its own bathing area and drainage system. The city also had a large public bath called the Great Bath, which was built in the 3rd millennium BCE. The Great Bath was one of the best preserved structures at Mohenjo-Daro. It measured approximately 40 feet by 23 feet with a maximum depth of 8 feet. It had 2 wide staircases on each end that led to an elevated platform where people could enter and exit through small doors or windows. The floor was made of finely fitted bricks laid on edge with gypsum plaster and bitumen sealer to make it watertight. Now that is some high-level construction work right there. It is shocking they could do this way back then. It just shows that ancient people were really smart. The Great Bath is connected to an extensive drainage system that collected rainwater and sewage from all over the city. The drains were covered with bricks or stones to prevent flooding and contamination. Some drains also had outlets or manholes that led to wells or rivers. Mohenjo-Daro was not only a city but also a trading hub that connected with other regions such as Mesopotamia and Egypt. The city produced various goods such as pottery, tools, seals, weights, jewelry, ivory beads, lapis lazuli stones, carnelian beads, gold beads, and a lot more. These goods were traded along well-defined routes using standardized weights and measures. One of the most remarkable features at Mohenjo-Daro was an ancient Buddhist stupa that towered over some parts of the city. The stupa was made of baked bricks and decorated with sculptures and carvings depicting Buddha's life story and teachings. Another impressive structure at Mohenjo-Daro was a brick column that supported part of the roof over one building near the Great Bath. The column had stepped edges that may have held wooden screens or window frames. Today, Mohenjo-Daro is no longer inhabited by humans, but by animals such as monkeys who live among its ruins. The site is slowly crumbling due to natural causes such as erosion and earthquakes, as well as human activities such as mining and construction. In this same region is the Indus Valley. This great valley is one of the locations of many of the world's oldest and most mysterious cultures. Nestled in the fertile plains of present-day Pakistan and northwest India, the Indus Valley Civilization emerged around 3300 BCE. Its strategic location along the banks of the mighty Indus River played an important role in shaping its destiny. The inhabitants displayed an extraordinary mastery of urban planning with grid-like streets, advanced sewage systems, and an intricate drainage network. This shows their remarkable engineering ability. Now, let's sift through the myths and facts that surrounded the Indus Valley civilization. The mysterious symbols found on seals have puzzled historians, sparking debates about their script and language. While decoding these symbols remains a tantalizing challenge, recent advancements in archaeological research have shed light on aspects of their daily life, trade networks, and cultural practices. The Indus Valley civilization stands as a beacon of human achievement, a testament to the resilience and creativity of our ancestors. From a valley, let's move to a lost world that is on a mountain. I'm talking about Mount Roraima. Welcome to Mount Roraima, the highest of the Pacaraima chains of Tepui or Plateau in South America. It is located at the junction of Brazil, Guyana, and Venezuela and covers an area of 31 square kilometers. It is one of the most extraordinary natural geological formations on Earth, dating back over 2 billion years. The summit area of Mount Roraima is home to many plants and animals that can only be found here. You'll find them nowhere else on planet Earth. You can see orchids, bromeliads, ferns, mosses, lichens, insects, birds, and mammals that have adapted to the unique environment in different ways. One of the most impressive features of Mount Roraima is its waterfalls. The water comes from intense rainfall that leaches nutrients from the rocks and creates pools and streams on the surface. The waterfalls vary in height and width depending on the slope and erosion rate of each cliff face. Some of them are as high as 300 feet and as wide as 600 feet. Another fascinating aspect of Mount Roraima is its caves. There are several caves on different sides of the mountain that have been explored by adventurers and researchers. Some of them are very deep and dark, while others are more accessible and illuminated by sunlight or artificial light sources. The caves contain stalactites, stalagmites, columns, flowstones, and other formations that reflect their geological history. Despite its beauty and mystery, Mount Roraima has remained largely unexplored for centuries due to its geographical isolation and harsh conditions. It was only in 1884 that it was first climbed by a British expedition led by Sir Everard Imthurn and accompanied by Harry Innes Perkins and several natives. Since then, only a few hundred people have reached its summit by foot or by helicopter. All in all, it's plain to see that Roraima feels like an alien world unlike any other place you've ever experienced, in the best possible way. If you're thinking of experiencing it for yourself, note that it takes a healthy amount of preparation, but certainly seems worth it in the end. Let's travel to Asia for the next entry. Shandao Lake and Xicheng City. Welcome to Xicheng City, an ancient underwater city that was once the center of a prosperous civilization. Xicheng City was founded in the Tang Dynasty that ruled around 25 AD to 200 AD and flourished for centuries as a political and economic hub of the Ming and Qing dynasties. It had 5 entrance gates, 265 archways, 6 main streets, and many temples and palaces. It was home to more than 300,000 people who lived in harmony with nature. But in 1959, the Chinese government decided to flood the ancient city for the purpose of industrialization. They built a hydroelectric dam on the Jinan River to create Shandao Lake, which covers an area of 573 square kilometers. The lake is now a popular tourist destination with thousands of islands, forests, and wildlife. However, beneath the surface lies a hidden treasure that has been preserved for decades. In 2001, the Chinese government planned an expedition to explore the remains of Xicheng City, and in 2011, they published pictures and graphics that sparked interest among researchers and divers around the world. The images that show Xicheng City is remarkably well preserved underwater. The stone buildings with their Chinese inscriptions stand intact along the main avenues and streets. The wooden beams and staircases are also intact. Amazingly, the water protects the city from wind, rain, and sun damage. Diving to Xicheng City has been limited to experienced divers who can dive at night or in deep water. The city offers a glimpse into Imperial China's architecture, culture, and life. It also reveals how ancient Chinese cities were planned, constructed, and embellished. On the surface, Xiandao Lake continues to attract tourists who want to connect with this lost world. Thonis Heraklion. Imagine a city that was submerged by the sea for over 1,000 years until it was rediscovered by modern archaeologists in 2016. A city that was once a bustling hub of trade and culture, connecting Egypt with the Mediterranean world. A city that had temples dedicated to gods and goddesses, sanctuaries for healing miracles, and monuments to celebrate the mysteries of Osiris. This city is Thonis Heraklion, an ancient Egyptian port city that sank underwater. Thonis Heraklion was located near the canopic mouth of the Nile, about 32 kilometers or 20 miles northeast of Alexandria on the Mediterranean Sea. It was originally built on some adjoining islands in the Nile Delta, but later expanded to include sandbanks and marshlands. The city was known by both its Egyptian and Greek names, Thonis to the Egyptians and Heraklion to the Greeks. The name Heraklion comes from Heracles or Hercules, who was associated with Khonsu, son of Amun. Thonis Heraklion flourished as a vital center for trade and culture from the 7th century BC to the 1st century AD. It had a large temple of Khonsu in its center, which was later replaced by a temple of Amun-Gareb, the supreme god of Egypt at that time. The city also had temples dedicated to Osiris and other deities, which were famous for miraculous healing and attracted pilgrims from a wide area. The city had canals that connected it with other ports along the Nile Delta and beyond, making it an imperion, which means a trading port for goods such as spices, textiles, metals, pottery, glassware, ivory, gold, silver, and more. Archaeologists have found evidence of many aspects of life at Thonis Heraklion during different periods. They have discovered inscriptions on stone steles that record donations made to temples or officials. Very fascinating indeed. This takes us to the next level of our iceberg. Level 3 holds some surprises for you, so watch out! We start with a cave that is a world on its own, the Movile Cave. This is Movile Cave, a hidden wonder of nature that lies beneath the Black Sea coast of Romania. This cave is unlike any other place on Earth, where life has thrived for millions of years in a harsh and hostile environment. Movile Cave was discovered in 1986 by Cristian Lascu, a Romanian cave researcher who was excavating an ancient settlement near Mangalia. He noticed a strange smell coming from the ground and decided to investigate. He found an artificial entrance to the cave that was sealed off by clay and loess. He used explosives to break through the barrier and entered the cave with his team. The cave is about 240 meters long and has several chambers and passages that are partially or fully submerged by hydrothermal waters. The temperature of the air and water is constant at 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the relative humidity is about 100%. In case you don't understand what this means, it simply means that this cave is so wet, even the air is wet. The air also contains very low levels of oxygen, but high levels of carbon dioxide, methane, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia. These gases make it difficult for humans to breathe without special equipment. Despite the conditions of the cave being harsh, the cave is home to a remarkable diversity of life forms that have adapted to these extreme conditions. Some of them are endemic to this ecosystem, meaning they are found nowhere else on Earth. They include leeches, spiders, pseudoscorpions, woodlice, centipedes, water scorpions, and snails. The food chain in the cave is based on chemosynthesis by methane and sulfur oxidizing bacteria that live on rocks or organic matter in the water or on surfaces. These bacteria produce energy from chemical reactions instead of sunlight or organic matter like plants do. They also release nutrients for fungi and other bacteria that form microbial mats on walls or ponds. The microbial mats are grazed by some animals, such as snails or worms that feed on them or their secretions. These animals are then preyed upon by others, such as spiders or scorpions, that use their venom or claws to catch them. The predators include larger animals, such as centipedes or water scorpions, that have powerful jaws or pincers to crush their prey. Some predators are blind but have excellent senses of touch or smell to locate their food. The cave also contains some rare minerals, such as carbonite that form from limestone dissolved by groundwater over millions of years. The cave is still largely unexplored and holds many secrets waiting to be uncovered by future researchers. It is also a source of inspiration for many myths and legends among local people who believe it has magical powers. Mobile Cave is one of the most fascinating places on Earth where nature has created its own paradise despite being a harsh environment. Bimini Road. Imagine a road made of giant stones stretching across the ocean floor for miles. A road that leads to a lost civilization hiding beneath the waves. A road that has fascinated explorers, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. This is the story of Bimini Road, one of the most mysterious underwater rock formations in the world. Bimini Road is an underwater rock formation near North Bimini Island in the Bahamas. It is made of limestone blocks with right angles and a rectangular shape. Some Atlantis believers and archaeologists think it is a road to the ancient city of Atlantis, based on its resemblance to the description of Plato and Edgar Cayce. However, there is no hard evidence to support this claim. The first documented sighting of Bimini Road was in 1968 by 3 divers who encountered what they called a pavement of rounded stones. They reported finding large blocks measuring as much as 4 meters or 13 feet in horizontal dimensions, with some having complementary edges. They also noted 2 similar linear features laying parallel to and shoreward of Bimini Road. These features are composed of smaller tabular stone blocks that resemble giant loaves of bread. The origin and purpose of these features are still unknown. Some possible explanations include natural formations caused by erosion or sedimentation, man-made structures such as breakwaters or harbors, or even alien artifacts left behind by an ancient civilization. However, none of these theories have been proven conclusively. Despite its mystery and attraction, Bimini Road remains largely unexplored and unprotected. It is located in shallow water of just about 60 feet deep, which makes it accessible to divers, but also vulnerable to damage from boats or anchors. East Scotia Ridge. The East Scotia Ridge is a region of the Southern Ocean where hot, chemical-rich water jets from below the ocean floor, creating a unique environment for life. It is about 800 miles to the east of the tip of South America, and it is a part of a tectonic plate called the Scotia Plate. The ridge is about 1.5 miles deep, and it has been isolated for millions of years. One of the most striking features of the East Scotia Ridge is its biodiversity. Scientists have discovered new species of animals that are adapted to the extreme conditions of this realm. For example, there are snow-white crabs with hairy bodies and claws that pile atop of each other in dense beds. There are also 7-armed sea stars that are seen nowhere else on Earth. And there are new types of octopuses, also white, that patrol the warm depths. The East Scotia Ridge is not only fascinating for its wildlife, but also for its geology. It is a back arc spreading ridge that formed due to movement of one tectonic plate below another along an arc-shaped boundary. This means that as one plate slides under another, it creates magma that rises from below and pushes up new crust at the ridge. The magma moves out through cracks in the rocks where it heats up to temperatures of up to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Some of that water shoots out through cracks or through tall chimneys built from minerals in the superheated water. The East Scotia Ridge is still active today, as evidenced by seismic activity and volcanic eruptions. It is also moving slowly westward at about 0.87 inches per year, which means that it will continue to expand and create new landmasses over time. The East Scotia Ridge has some similarities with other volcanic vents on Earth, such as those found in Hawaii or Iceland. However, it also has some unique features that make it different from other places. For example, some researchers have suggested that there may be a connection between the East Scotia Ridge and Antarctica's West Antarctic Rift System, which is another back arc spreading center where magma rises from below. This could explain why both regions have similar geology and chemistry. Cima Humboldt and Cima Martel. In this forest so lush and green that it covers an entire mountain are two enormous holes that seem to swallow everything in their path. This is not a fantasy, but a reality in South America, where there are more than 100 tepui, or tabletop mountains, that rise above the rainforest canopy. Some of these tepuis have unique features that make them stand out from the rest, such as Cima Humboldt and Cima Martel. Cima Humboldt is one of the largest and deepest sinkholes in the world. It was first spotted by a pilot named Harry Gibson in 1961, who noticed a patch of forest on its base. Since then, it has been explored by several adventurers and scientists who have discovered its amazing biodiversity and geology. Cima Martel is another impressive sinkhole that lies next to Cima Humboldt. It was also discovered by Gibson in 1961, who saw another patch of forest on its bottom. Both sinkholes are connected by underground tunnels that allow water to flow between them. The sinkholes are located on top of a formation called the Mountain with Holes in the language of the Yakuana Indians. The tepui has 4 caves inside it, as well as 4 biotopes with different types of vegetation. The tepui is home to many endemic species, such as frogs, orchids, butterflies, and birds. The sinkholes are not only natural wonders, but also cultural mysteries. There are many legends and myths about them among the local people, who believe they are inhabited by evil spirits or ancient beings. Some say that they can hear strange noises coming from inside them at night, or that they can see lights or shadows moving around them. The truth behind these stories may never be known for sure, but one thing is certain. Cima Humboldt and Cima Martel are among the most fascinating places on Earth, a lost world we are lucky to find. Now let us see if you've ever heard of these lost worlds in Level 5. Palawan Heights. Welcome to Palawan, the largest island of the province of Palawan in the Philippines and one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Palawan is home to abundant wildlife, jungle, mountains, and some white sandy beaches that attract many tourists and adventurers. But did you know that Palawan also has a hidden side that few people know about? A side that is full of mystery, wonder, and discovery? Palawan has many natural wonders that showcase its rich biodiversity and cultural heritage. Some of these are coral reefs. Check out this series of coral reefs that form a spectacular underwater landscape with colorful fish, turtles, shark, rays, and other marine life. Coral reefs are also known for their shipwrecks from World War II that can be explored by divers. Then there's Kayangan Lake. This stunning freshwater lake is surrounded by limestone cliffs and lush vegetation. The lake has a unique phenomenon called Kayangan, which means floating in Filipino. This happens when strong winds blow over the water surface and create waves that look like they're floating on air. Another feature is the El Nido Marine Reserve Park, which is a protected area that covers an area of 26 square kilometers or 10 square miles along the coast of El Nido town. The park features white sand beaches with turquoise water and limestone formations that create caves and lagoons for snorkeling and diving. Not to be outdone is Malampaya Sound Land and Seascape Protected Area, which is another protected area that covers an area of 1 square kilometer or 0.4 square miles along the coast of Busuanga Island. The area is known for its scenic views of mangroves, coral reefs, islands, and sea turtles. It is also home to the Malampaya Sound National Park Foundation, which manages the conservation efforts for this area. But what makes Palawan Highlands truly unique is its highland region that lies above sea level at an elevation range of 900 to 1800 meters or 3000 to 5900 feet. This region is not part of any province or municipality in Palawan, but rather consists of several barangays or villages scattered across different towns. These barangays are mostly inhabited by indigenous peoples who have their own languages, cultures, and traditions. Life in Highland Palawan is simple but rich in meaning. The people here live close to nature and practice sustainable ways of farming, fishing, hunting, and gathering. They also have their own forms of art, music, dance, religion, and festivals. The Palawans or Negritos who occupy the Southern Highlands have their own distinct culture and language. They're known for their skills in weaving baskets, making pottery, and carving wood. They also have their own rituals such as tattooing, circumcision, and initiation rites. Hopefully, we do not interfere with these people's way of life too much. Çatalhöyük. This is Çatalhöyük, a lost world we are just discovering after thousands of years of it being lost. Located near Konya in south-central Turkey, Çatalhöyük was a major Neolithic settlement that flourished from about 6700 BCE to 5650 BCE. It was home to thousands of people who lived in hundreds of houses made of mud brick and decorated with colorful frescoes. But what makes Çatalhöyük truly remarkable is its advanced culture and technology that surpassed its contemporaries in Anatolia and beyond. Çatalhöyük was not only a place of residence, but also a place of production and consumption. The inhabitants cultivated various crops such as wheat, barley, lentils, peas, flax, sesame, figs, grapes, olives, dates, and nuts. They also raised animals such as sheep, goats, cattle, pigs, dogs, cats, and horses. Most of these animals were from domesticated wild animals. They used these resources to make pottery, and some had nice geometric designs. The baskets they made were decorated with animal motifs, and their jewelry had animal symbols too. They did not live a boring life. These people had games such as dice or board games. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of Çatalhöyük's culture was its artistic expression. The inhabitants created stunning frescoes on the walls and ceilings of their houses that depict scenes from their daily life or from their religious beliefs. Some of these scenes include hunting scenes, farming scenes, ritual scenes, burial scenes, and animal scenes. Some of these frescoes also show human figures with exaggerated features such as large eyes, noses, or mouths. These features may reflect the influence of Upper Paleolithic art or the expression of emotions or personality traits. The frescoes also show the use of colors which have been obtained from natural sources, such as plants or minerals. But what makes Çatalhöyük truly unique is its location and its connections with other ancient sites in Anatolia. Çatalhöyük is situated on a highland plateau that overlooks the Konya Plain and the Euphrates River Valley. This location may have provided advantages for trade, communication, and defense. Çatalhöyük also had contacts with other Neolithic settlements in Anatolia, such as Jericho, Tel Barak, and Tel Leilan. These settlements may have shared similar cultural traits or exchanged goods or ideas. Çatalhöyük also had contacts with other regions beyond Anatolia, such as Mesopotamia, Syria, Levant, and Iran. These regions may have influenced or been influenced by Çatalhöyük's culture through trade routes or cultural diffusion. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Çatalhöyük's culture is its myths and legends that surround it. There are many stories and beliefs that reflect the worldview and values of the people who lived there. According to one legend, Çatalhöyük was founded by a man named Tesub who escaped from his father's tyranny by jumping into a river that turned into a snake. He then built his own city on top of the snake's head. We move to the deepest level of our iceberg, level 6. This level will leave you enchanted. We begin with Dwarka, Gujarat. Welcome to Dwarka, a town in Gujarat that is considered to be one of the most sacred ancient places in Hinduism. Dwarka is believed to be the legendary capital of Lord Krishna, who founded it after his flight from Mathura. But what makes Dwarka so special and mysterious? Let's find out! Dwarka lies on the western shore of the Akhmandal Peninsula, a small western extension of the Kathiawar Peninsula. It is situated on the banks of the Gomti River, which flows into the Gulf of Kutch. The town has a rich history and culture that dates back thousands of years. According to Hindu mythology, Dwarka was established by Lord Krishna after he defeated his evil uncle Kansa and rescued his wife Rukmini from captivity. Krishna ruled over Dwarka for 36 years until he left for his final journey to Mount Govardhan. After his departure, Dwarka was ruled by various kings and dynasties until it was submerged by the sea due to a curse by sage Durvasa. One of the most famous legends associated with Dwarka is that it was destroyed by Lord Krishna himself as a punishment for its people's sins. He played his flute so beautifully that it caused earthquakes and floods that submerged the entire city underwater. Only a few people managed to escape on boats or rafts. Another legend says that after Krishna's departure, his devotee, Negeshwar, built a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva at Negeshwar near Dwarka. The temple is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas in India and attracts millions of pilgrims every year. The temple also has a huge statue of Shiva near its entrance. In 1994, an archaeological expedition discovered an island off the coast of Bet Dwarka, which is believed to be one of the 7 holy cities in India. The island has evidence of human habitation dating back to 1500 BCE and contains many temples and structures that resemble those found in ancient India. In 2016, another archaeological discovery was made near Bet Dwarka, which revealed a bridge-like structure made out of sandstone blocks that connects 2 parts of land separated by water. The bridge is estimated to be around 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide and has been called Sudama Setu or Sudama Bridge after one of Krishna's childhood friends who helped him escape from Mathura. One of the most interesting features of Dwarka is its river Gomti, which flows through its heart and offers scenic views along its banks. The river also has many temples and ghats where people perform rituals and prayers. One such ghat is Gomti Ghat, where you can see people bathing in the holy water or offering flowers to Lord Krishna. If you're looking for some relaxation and recreation after exploring these historical sites, you can head to Dunny Point Beach, which is located at the end of Dunny Point Road near Bet Dwarka Island. The beach offers stunning views of the Arabian Sea and has golden sand dunes that are perfect for sunbathing or picnicking. For those who want to experience some modern amenities and facilities along with their spiritual journey, you can visit Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in Bet Dwarka Island itself. This temple is one of the largest Hindu temples in Asia and has beautiful architecture and sculptures that depict scenes from Hindu scriptures. As you can see, Dwarka is not just a place, but a living culture that reflects its glorious past as well as its vibrant present. It is a place where you can witness history unfold before your eyes, as well as enjoy nature's beauty at its best. It is a truly mysterious lost world that awaits you to discover it. Next is the enchanting Vinland. This takes us back to the days of the Vikings. Vinland was originally discovered by the Vikings in North America. The first European to sight Vinland was Bjarni Herjolfsson, a Greenlandic explorer who was blown off course by a storm around 985 CE. He sailed along the Atlantic coast of eastern Canada and returned to Greenland. About 100 years later, his son Leif Erikson decided to follow his father's footsteps and set out to find Vinland. Leif's expedition consisted of 35 men who sailed southward from Greenland. They encountered 3 different lands along the way: Helluland, also known as the Land of Flat Rocks, Markland, known as the Land of Forests, and Skrellingeland, known as the Land of Foreigners. Helluland was an icy, barren land with no vegetation or animals. Markland was a flat wooded land with abundant resources such as timber and fish. Skrællingeland was a warmer and more hospitable area where they decided to settle. From Skrællingeland, Leif explored further south and found fine lumber and wild grapes that he called Vinum. He realized that he had reached Vinland, which just means land of wine, and dedicated to build a base there which he named after himself. He also encountered friendly natives who traded with him for furs and other goods. Archaeologists have found various artifacts at L'Anse-au-Meadow that confirm its Viking origin. These include iron tools made from imported bog iron from Sweden or Norway, wooden houses made from spruce trees, animal bones such as deer antlers, human remains such as skulls, pottery decorated with geometric patterns, coins made from silver or copper, jewelry made from amber or bone, textiles made from wool or linen, beads made from glass or bone, knives made from iron or bone, and a lot of items made from wood or bone, as that was the most widely used material in that region at the time. We cross the Atlantic to Africa, where we discover the lost world of Great Zimbabwe. This is the ruins of what used to be Great Zimbabwe, one of the most impressive and mysterious archaeological sites in Africa. Located in southeastern Zimbabwe near Lake Mutarikwe and the town of Masvingo, this city was built by the ancestors of the Shona people between the 11th and 15th century CE. It was a royal palace, a religious center, and a trading hub that controlled much of the East African coast. The city is divided into three main areas: the hill complex, the Great Enclosure, and the valley ruins. The hill complex is believed to have been where the kings and nobles lived and where important ceremonies took place. It has walls up to 36 feet high and contains several circular structures called daga or towers. The valley ruins are located between the hill complex and the Great Enclosure. They include mounds that are remnants of daga buildings that may have once rivaled those in stone and grandeur. They also contain evidence of agriculture, such as granaries and wells. The Great Enclosure is surrounded by massive walls that are made of dry stone without mortar. It covers an area of about 200 acres and could have housed up to 18,000 people at its peak. It has several entrances and exits that were used for access and security. The builders used natural granite boulders from nearby hills to construct their structures. They also used rectangular blocks to form walls up to 20 feet thick. Some of these blocks weigh up to 40 tons each. The city was abandoned by the 15th century as the Shona people migrated elsewhere due to droughts, wars, or social unrest. The ruins were rediscovered by European explorers in the late 19th century and have since been studied by archaeologists from around the world. Today, Great Zimbabwe is recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO for its cultural significance and architectural beauty. It's also a source of pride for Zimbabweans who consider it as their national symbol. Finally, we have Hattusa in Turkey. Hattusa, one of the most fascinating archaeological sites in Turkey and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Hattusa was the capital of the Hittite Empire, a powerful civilization that ruled over much of Anatolia and northern Syria in the Late Bronze Age, from around 1650 BC to 1200 BC. The city was located near modern Boğazkale on a slope rising approximately 300 meters above the valley and was divided by the Kızılkayası Creek into two parts, the lower city in the north and the upper city in the south. The entrance to the city was marked by two impressive gateways, the Lion Gate in the southwest and the Royal Gate in the southeast. The Lion Gate was decorated with reliefs of lions and other animals, symbolizing strength and courage. The Royal Gate was adorned with hieroglyphs depicting scenes from royal ceremonies and rituals. Both gates were made of massive stone blocks that were carved with intricate designs. The best preserved ruin of a Hittite temple is located in the lower city, known as Great Temple. It dates back to around 1300 BC and was dedicated to various gods and goddesses of the Hittite pantheon, such as El, Ishtar, Teshub, and Tarhuntasa. The temple had a rectangular plan with 4 columns at each corner and a central shrine at one end. The walls of the temple were covered with frescoes depicting scenes from mythology and daily life. About a mile northeast of Hattusa lies another remarkable site, Yazilikaya or Rock Sanctuary. It is an open-air temple with 2 natural chambers cut into the bedrock by water erosion over thousands of years. The walls of these chambers are covered with stunning examples of Hittite relief art featuring gods and goddesses such as Teshub, Ishtar, Anu, Nergal, Ninurta, and others. Some of these reliefs are among the oldest surviving artworks in history. Hattusa was not only a political center, but also a cultural hub that reflected its diverse influences from different regions and peoples. It was here that some of history's most important events took place, such as wars between rival kingdoms, diplomatic missions to foreign lands, royal weddings and funerals, religious festivals and ceremonies. Today, visitors can explore this ancient city through its impressive ruins and learn more about its fascinating history through its rich artifacts. We have a lot more for you, so subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos. See you next time!